Good evening humans, Tyrannosaurusmoth here, and tonight we're taking a look at the Mortal Kombat 11 Noob Saibot figure from McFarlane Toys. This was probably my favorite redesign from Mortal Kombat 11, which is good because my mains Ermac and Reptile were not present at any point, and McFarlane did a pretty good job here. So without further ado, let's do this. Okay, aesthetically speaking, Noob Saibot is probably my favorite of the highly articulated Neo McFarlane Toys figures, but mainly because the proportions just look right. And what I mean by that is that one of the issues I've had with a lot of, certainly the Mortal Kombat line in particular, but some of the other figures that McFarlane's done since he's added all the articulation in, has been the feet are always super small, and they're not perfect here. They still seem a little small to me, but they're definitely more proportional to the rest of the body, which is kind of nice. Not only that, but like everything else just seems in line. Nothing else looks awkward here, which made me kind of excited about this, because again, I really love this redesign for Noob Saibot, and it just looks good. Not only that, but all the accents are really well done. The metal here has this nice, like, almost patina kind of mixed into it, so it looks nice and aged and pretty natural, so that's really well done in that regard. The little gold on the mask is really well done, super clean. Get in close there without blocking the light, and yeah, just really well done between the silver, that little bit of gold / yellow, and the black, and then some brown accents here and there. So it looks, the textures are also really nice. Like, just, it looks like leather. This cloth texture looks really cool, to be honest. So just really well done overall. So huzzah and kudos to the McFarlane team for really pulling this one off. Aesthetics is generally McFarlane's thing. It was when in the statue era of the 90s and the early 2000s. But now that the articulations come into it, seems like that suffered a bit, at least it has in my eyes. And this is probably the best example, so keeping on going in this direction would definitely be good. So that's aesthetics. Accessories are a bit bare bones, as it tends to be with McFarlane figures, because again, the focus for McFarlane tends to be in the sculpt and the paint. So aside from that, all we're getting is a kind of plain black stand with the Mortal Kombat logo on it. And then we get the scythe, really well sculpted. Not really any paint to speak of. Not that there was a ton of detail in the game itself, depending on the scythe you chose, because again, the different aesthetics, and that's kind of one of the interesting parts about this line, being that they can do different versions of the weapons and certain accessories as they release different variants of the figures. So that's it. Articulation for Noob tends to be pretty decent. It's a little stiff, as McFarlane figures tend to be. All the joints are very stiff, so you got to really kind of warm it up and move it around to really get what you want. That, and you will need either the supplied stand or a stand of your own to kind of achieve certain poses, just because the balancing is a little weird. But in terms of the range, which we'll get into from the top to bottom, for the head, we're on a ball joint of sorts, and we're not really getting any up, like absolutely nothing. We get some decent down though, even with these flaps, don't really push it up too much, so you're getting about there. You don't really, well, you get a wee bit of tilt there. You can turn just about anywhere, so that's pretty cool. These are soft plastic. In fact, I gotta glue this one down because this one kind of came out. They're supposed to be glued in like this one is, but your arms can come up pretty high. Again, you can hear that ratcheting. So you get your T-pose. You also have a bicep swivel. There is a butterfly joint in there, but it doesn't really give you much, so I don't know why it's there. But it is what it is. I mean, I'll take it. You get double jointed elbows, so we're coming up pretty good. Again, I think I'll probably get a little bit more out of that top one too if I just work with that a little bit more. You get these little ball joints in here, so you can kind of come around. They work as a hinge as well, and you can kind of work it because you can see I moved where the pivot point is, so you can either get forward and back, or you can get your up and down depending on where you put it. So, you know, it just takes a little bit of working, and yeah, it's pretty cool. You have a ball joint up here in the diaphragm, so you can get some nice tilt. You can get an okay crunch, nothing phenomenal. Back, you get a little bit better, as tends to be the case. I think there's another ball joint here in the waist. No, maybe not. Maybe, but you're not really going to get any side to side from there. That's all going to come from up here. From the waist, we get full splits. I mean, all McFarlane figures have excellent range in that regard, so that's definitely something. I mean, definitely a very good point, and a point to McFarlane figures in general. Not really any thigh swivel. You can see there's kind of the mechanism there. So it does give you, you can turn a little bit, just not a ton. So that is what it is. And now I unplugged his little front piece there. There we go. Double jointed knees. We're coming up. I actually had to work with this a lot because the lower half was super, super tight. So you can come up pretty far. As you can see, the back of the cloak thing here is kind of getting in the way a little bit, but you get decent range. And then you again get those ball joints in the ankles. So you get some okay forward, some decent point, and you can kind of get pivot, I guess, if you move that ball around. And then lastly, toe joints, and that's articulation. Looking at size comparisons, here he is with some other Mortal Kombat figures. Here he is with some Hasbro stuff, some SH Figure Arts and Storm collectibles, with various monsters. And finally with an articulated Icons Oni and yours truly in human form as an articulated Icons Ninja. So my final thoughts on Noob Saibot here from McFarlane Toys is that this is a really decent effort and probably my favorite of the Neo McFarlane Toys era figures. As I had said before, the proportions seem right, the articulation's pretty good, the look is just straight up on point. And yeah, just overall, I was excited about a figure for this version of Noob Saibot. Unfortunately, I missed out on the Storm Collectibles one, so that in my collection, this will be my Noob Saibot, at least unless I find the Storm one for a decent price. So I'm very much happy with it, and if you are a fan of Mortal Kombat 11, Noob Saibot as a character, or just Dark Ninjas, then this is the figure for you. And currently it is showing up on shelves in Targets, maybe Walmarts. I haven't seen any in Walmarts, but supposedly, and certain retailers online, which I will link to in the description below so you can find your own. So that being said, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this and you found it informative, please consider liking, commenting, and most importantly, subscribing. Trying to get to at least triple digits by the end of this year, 2021. And yeah, so that's about it. So thank you so much. And then please take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and most importantly, stay weird, simians.